Hi everyone, it's April with Hair 101 and I am back again today to take another Instagram photo that you guys sent me and explain how I would get from point A to point B. So another color formulation video. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. Comment below and let me know what you guys think if you want to see more of them, and feel free to always send me pictures of the desired level and what you have now. And I will always try to include those in these videos because I think this is really fun. So here we go, let's get going. So Nisa sent me this picture, and so I'll flash it onto the screen right now. You can see that it's like a level 2 or 3, and they want this really soft brown. It's like a dark blonde faded into a soft brown, and then the roots are actually pretty dark. So I can see 3 very distinct colors in this photo. So let me just explain to you how I would get from point A to point B. I'm going to give you the 2 options again, one being virgin hair and the other one being artificial color, because they are very different worlds. So if this was virgin hair, I would formulate, you're lifting quite a few levels. I mean, the ends on this are like a level 7 or even an 8. You really want to get them lighter. Lighter is better because then you can deposit back in that ashy tone and get that really mild, soft look. You don't want it to be bright orange. And a balayage, like the prettiest thing with these right now is getting that really soft ashy tone through the ends so that it doesn't look like dark and then orange and then, yeah, so you guys know what I mean. So your biggest challenge on this is going to be getting rid of the orange undertones, obviously, especially if there's box dye, but let's just start over. Okay, so this client comes in with virgin hair, level 3, and you need to get this look. I would be mixing up 2 different colors and plan on toning also and fixing little mistakes with the toning process if you have any. So this is going to take a while and it's not going to be cheap, but you can definitely do it. Just plan ahead. So the first thing I would mix up, let's see, I'd be using 40 volume on the ends for sure, 30 volume probably for the mid shaft. And the mid shaft, it needs to be, it looks like here that it's probably like a level 5 or 6. So I would get like a 5 ash blue or a 6 ash blue. Yeah, and I would use 30 or even 40 volume because you really want to pull that color out and you need it to lift. The higher volume you go, a little bit more undertone is going to be exposed. So having that blue base is definitely going to help you. So I would start with that formulation of the 5 or 6, probably 6 ash blue with the 30 or 40 volume, depending on what you guys feel comfortable with. But I would paint that on I wouldn't touch the roots like a 1/2 inch from her head, but I would definitely be hand painting and feathering a little bit into that. So, but I wouldn't touch the scalp. I would keep her roots natural. And I would just kind of feather in like the lines, like the 3 stripes. You guys can see, I need to turn off my phone. If you're looking for technique, I would go to one of my balayage videos. We can link one of those in this card right here. But as far as formulation, yeah, so that's what it would be. And that would be the color that I do on the mid shaft. And I'd make sure that I was using my blur brush and feathering and making sure you're getting good saturation and everything with that. So moving on to the ends, I would probably use a flash lift with 40 volume on the ends, just because I want to get them nice and light, and then afterwards you would be going back and toning in like the gloss color that you want on the ends. So yeah, I would definitely do that mid shaft, kind of melt it down, and then I would be overlapping that flash lift just a little bit. You don't want to like paint the whole section and then overlap the bleach, because that's just like making more work for yourself and you don't want to do that. So I would just kind of feather it down, and then I would come in with the lightener, and I would make sure that that line between the lightener and the color was pretty saturated, because you don't want to have any spots of the dark. But I would just be feathering the lightener over top of the color just a little bit. You could use the fusion, the color fusion line. That's a permanent that will lift and deposit for the 6 ash blue in the Redken. I love that color. It's a really good one to lift out these dark colors and tone at the same time. Or you could even use, I'm pretty sure the Chromatics have one. And also another option that would be great would be the color gels, because that's a really runny consistency. So that one you'd want to make sure that you were probably using foils between, because it would just like drip through. So if you're going to be hand painting, I would probably go with the creamier fusion texture. But if you were going to be using foils and just kind of blending the colors, then you could go ahead and use the color fusion. So once you got all of your mid shaft color and lightener on and the hair processed for 40 minutes and you've got the desired lightness, you'd want to make sure that the ends were like a pale yellow or like a yellow. You wouldn't want it to still be in that bright orange stage. So make sure it stays on there long enough. And then the mid shaft should look the right color of brown when it's done processing, like the 45 minutes. At that point, I would wash their hair out, dry it, and then I would go back through with my Shades EQ color gloss, and I would probably use, depending on how light the hair got, if the hair was really, like if you got it really, really light, you'd probably want to go in with a 9N mixed with a little bit, this is the 9N right here. You could even mix it a little bit with the 9NB in the Irish cream. If you got it a little bit too light and you wanted to put a little bit more warmth into it, I would mix those two together. And I would paint that through the entire head and let it process for 20 minutes and then rinse and dry and style, and you guys would be done. So that's how I would do the virgin application on this. Now, okay, so it's a little bit different with, so if you guys had someone come in and they had box color on their hair, or just they'd been coloring it and it was like that level 3 and they wanted this, that's when you'd need to sit down and be like, okay, this might be like a 2 or 3 visit application, because you're gonna wanna keep layering on that lightener to get rid of that box dye, because it's not probably going to just come out in the first application of lightener. So if they're okay with that and you guys are a go, then go for it, because you're gonna have to lighten out everything. Like you can't just put that 6 ash blue on the mid shaft because it wouldn't do anything. So what you would do in that situation is you would just take a lot of flash lift with 40 volume. I mean, a lot, or another really strong lightener. I really like the Firmisi's D-Color Cream. That's a great hand painter. So if you did the highest volume that the Firmisi's D-Color Cream suggests, which I think is a 20, but I sometimes do 30 and it works great. You go ahead and mix up the lightener and you would just paint on everywhere that you want the hair to be a lighter color. So you would be starting, you would take that section in the back, that slice, whatever, and you'd be hand painting like the 3 strips. Like if this was the section of hair, you'd probably do a light piece there and a light piece there, like in a triangle, and then maybe one in the middle that's a little bit lower, and then like saturate like crazy the ends. Yeah, so I would kind of, and feather it through so you have like a nice blend line still from lightener to dark. But just keep in mind that once you get all of that pigment removed, then you're going to have to wash, dry, go back in and start to repigment the hair in the proper places. So at that point, that's when you would get your color. You could use a color fusion and just use a 10 volume since you're only depositing, or you could just use, I don't think I would use the Shades EQ cream on or the Shades EQ color gloss on the mid shaft, just because I would want something a little bit more permanent in there to cover up the harsh lines that you might have from doing so much lightener so thick right there. So I would probably go with, I'd probably still use my color fusion line, and I would do, depending on how light it is, I'm guessing it would most likely be like a bright orange, you guys. And so that don't freak out. But once you get that hair light into that bright orange stage, then you can be like, oh, okay, my 6 ash blue. It's kind of the same formulation as before, but you had to have that extra step of removing the pigment. So you could go back in with your 6 ash blue if it was really orange and paint that in the mid shaft where you're wanting to have that caramely brown color. And then in the ends, you could paint through with a level like 9 gold beige or whatever, or 10, you know, like a 7 gold beige even, depending on how light it is. Or they even have some ash blues in the lighter colors. This would also be a great opportunity to use your colored gels. So if you had the Redken color gels, I would use like a 6 ash blue on the roots and then like the 8 ash blue on the ends. And then you would get that really pretty melt. Yeah, so you would have to go back in after you've lightened everything out, dried it, and then reapply the mid shaft and the end color to get this color. So I hope that explains a little bit more to you guys about the process and how I would go about getting from point A to point B on this. Let me know if you guys have any questions below, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. So don't forget to thumbs up this video, you guys, and share it with your friends, and I hope it helped you. Thanks so much, you guys. I love you all. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.